You know, I can't believe there's just so many ignorant people in this world that think it's the gun that's doing the violence when it's not the gun that has the violence. It's the person using the gun, using it as a tool for violence. Hello everyone. So today's vlog is going to be on a very touchy topic. It always is when it comes to any sort of shooting, and also, guns are involved, and so everybody wants to scream gun control. So I am going to go over the differences between gun control and gun safety. A lot of people don't understand the differences, and you know what? It's time people learn what the differences are. But before I go through that, the shooting in Parkland, Florida was a very senseless act. Many innocent lives were taken, and I send out to the families my deepest condolences. Perhaps schools need to have more metal detectors. I know the bigger cities, they have the metal detectors, the armed security, but I think that all schools should have the metal detectors. I think they should have the armed securities. I believe deeply in my heart that because youth these days are nothing like they were whenever I was in school, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s. I think wholeheartedly that the teachers and the principals should be armed, go through the fire safety, go through all the courses, get their CCDWs, and be armed so they can save their students. Does it sound like a lot? Maybe. But the constant attack on my Second Amendment is a lot too. Those who do bad will always find a way to get a firearm, semi-automatics and automatics. It doesn't matter. They're gonna find them. So taking a gun away from me isn't helping anybody. It just isn't. Gun safety is what needs to be taught, not gun control. There is an American gun control debate. It depends on if you are a conservative or a libertarian, progressive, whatever. It's a gun control debate that for you to understand the fundamental differences, starting positions of the two sides. Conservatives, and that is what I identify with. Conservatives, there is a broad belief that the right to own a weapon for self-defense is every bit as inherent and unalienable as the right to speak freely or practice your religion. It's a co-equal liberty in the Bill of Rights, grounded not just in the minds of the founders, but in natural law. So for those of you that are wanting more gun control normally means more guns off the streets, more guns out of the people's hands that aren't using them to kill people, but more like going for target practice, or keeping it on their hip, and just for self-defense. So most forms of gun control Most forms of gun control proposed after each mass killing represent a collective punishment. And it's true. Nobody's talking about, gun control, this or that, until there's a shooting. Those people generally have already been turned in to the FBI. And FBI does not always look into things. This last shooting, they were being tipped off about this person and they shrugged it off, and now they're saying that it was their fault. They should have looked into things, and in the past they've done the same thing. So that should have never happened. Other ones should have never happened had our Federal Bureau of Investigators had done their job. The rights of the law-abiding are restricted with no real evidence that these alleged common-sense reforms will prevent future tragedies in any meaningful way. Meaning, we can do strict gun laws, but the ones who want to do the mass shootings, the ones that want, kill people and or going and killing families for whatever reason, they're gonna find the guns. There is a black market, and they can go into other countries and smuggle these things back into our countries. It doesn't matter what our country does. They will find a way. I have been at a gun show and watched a male and a female. The female was buying the gun, but the male was telling her what to buy, and the owner said, "Ma'am, is this gun for you or him?" "Oh, no, it's for me." When really it wasn't. It was for him. He can't buy a gun. So it doesn't matter. People are going to enable others in order to get it. So, progressive, liberals, Democrats, however you identify yourself, they don't care about gun ownership, the rights of each individual. And it's true, and if you say it's not, you're wrong. You're lying because you want to blame it all on conservatives, Republicans, and libertarians. To them, the Second Amendment is an embarrassment, something that should be limited as much as possible, called gun grabbing. They feel gun ownership is a privilege, not a right. My driver's license is a privilege, not a right. And it can be heavily regulated and restricted without doing any violence to each individual rights. Well, what they want to regulate is how many firearms you can own, how much ammunition you have, how many magazines you have, and so not only do they want to infringe upon my ownership, my guns, they want to tell me how much ammunition I can have, how many magazines I can have. That's none of their business. It isn't. And it's not anybody else's business in telling me that I need gun control when I can handle my gun quite well. Regardless, if you see gun ownership a right or a privilege, a person can demonstrate through their own conduct whether they have any business owning a weapon. You can watch a person. You can see through their actions if they are mentally stable to own a weapon. Obama was trying to make it where military vets couldn't own a weapon. Said they just had too much PTSD, and they were going through Social Security. These people can't own weapons, and you know, it doesn't matter what somebody's diagnosis is. If they are being treated with, you know, medication, and they don't come off their medication, and they are staying, you know, medicated and doing good, there's no point in them not being able to have a gun. So, you know, people don't understand. Felon, dangerous, mentally ill. And then again, here I'm talking about the mentally ill. And there are people that are mentally ill. They're a danger to themselves and others. Perpetrators of domestic abuse. These people have not only demonstrated their unfitness to own a weapon, they've been granted due process to contest the charges or claims against them. And that's only right. There is no arbitrary state action. There is no collective punishment. There is rather an individual constitutional state process, and the result of that process is a set of defined consequences that includes revoking the right to gun ownership. In Kentucky, we do not have to register our guns, but of course, like any other state, we have to go through a background check, and that's just basically a Kentucky background check. I don't think that it goes all over the United States. And my nursing didn't go all over. It just went to Kentucky through Kentucky. But the FBI, and I've already told you this, as the Bureau admitted today, it did not respond appropriately to a timely warning from a person close to Nicholas Cruz. According to the FBI, that person provided information about Cruz's gun ownership, desire to kill people, and he was erratic. Erratic behavior and disturbing social media posts, as well as the potential of him conducting a school shooting. Right there. They had the information, they did nothing with it. So we're blaming guns. Guns do not kill people. People kill people. My gun, right here. It's a Sig Sauer P238. It's a 380. It's not killed a person yet. You know why? Because my gun does not kill anybody. It's the person that kills somebody. It's loaded. It's ready to fire. The safety's on. The hammer's pulled back. Got 2 safeties on it. And it's been a minute since I've done. There we go. You have to keep pulling back so then I'll fall out here. Mine was loaded. I have a safety. I have a hammer. Right now, it's empty. I haven't shot it in about a year. It's probably been the last time since I cleaned it too. But it's not my gun. My gun doesn't kill anybody. I can leave it out I can put it in my purse. I can put it anywhere. And you know what? It doesn't kill anybody. I can leave it out here. You know, sit beside me. It can be out all day long. I could cook dinner. I can go take a bath. I can go outside. I can have this sitting next to me. And you know, this is always the hardest one to get in there. Is it all full? No. It's the darndest thing. Do you know that? Come on, get in there. Doesn't it go in? It's the darndest thing. My gun never moves. It must be lazy. I mean, you know, according to everybody, guns kill people. But yet my gun, I've had it right beside my bed, and it has never moved. Put it in there right. Okay, now I got one in the chamber. But seriously, I'm not joking. No, it's just right by my bed. And it don't go nowhere. It's the amazing thing. It's loaded and one in the chamber. My hammer's down. I'm putting my safety up. And I'm putting it back. You know, this is the thing. People kill people. It's not the gun. The gun is just an innocent bystander. So, since 2015, the Charleston church shooter, the Orlando nightclub shooter, the Sutherland Springs church shooter, and the Parkland school shooter each happened after federal authorities missed chances to stop them. For those keeping score, that's 4 horrific mass shootings in 4 years, where federal systems failed at a cost of more than 100 lives. Now, are you still going to blame a gun? Because FBI has been notified about all these shootings beforehand, and they failed to do anything about it. Yes, I would be very angry. I'd be very, very angry if it was one of my children. Trust me, I would. When my daughter went missing and everybody thought the worst, my heart was in my throat, and all I could do that day was cry. So, yes, I'd be very, very upset. But I still would not want tighter gun control. I mean, that is just ridiculous. So let's go through some things about how how to handle a gun. When you are handling a gun, you keep your gun at a safe, you hold it in a safe manner. When I'm at a gun range, they want you to hold the muzzle up. Don't make a habit of putting your hand on the trigger. I put my hand on the trigger now, but it won't do no good. They want you to carry it up. Some places, they want you to carry it down, the muzzle down. Firearms should be unloaded when not actually in use. Well, mine's loaded. Mine is loaded because I use it for self-defense. Don't rely on your gun's safety. I have a 2-step safety on mine. Be sure of your target and what's beyond it. Oh, this is a very important one, especially if you have a CCDW, and most of you who do, you know the reason why. If you're going to shoot at something, you need to make sure there's no kid, there's no animal, there's not anybody behind that. And this is the reason for it. I have in here bullets that once they hit somebody, they mushroom. But I also have hollow points, and hollow points are when I go to the firing range. If some people have hollow points in their gun, and they use it for everything, hollow points will go through a person and then go through another person, and that's why you need to make sure of what's beyond that target. You need to make sure you use the correct ammo, because that can mess up your gun. It can cause some damage. If your gun fails to fire when the trigger is pulled, handle with care. That could be bad too. That could cause backfire. It could cause the gun to blow up. And always, 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 I have a pair of headphones, and I have glasses. Well, I don't wear their glasses. I just wear my glasses because I can't see the target without them. So you always need to wear eye and ear protection when shooting. Be sure the barrel is clear of obstructions before shooting. The barrel is this part right here. Don't alter or modify your gun and have gun service regularly. Altering is like putting in different barrels and stuff like that. I don't think it would have anything to do with like, I have night sights. I have a sights anyway. Mine work in the dark. You can change these. You can get pearl ones. You can get pink ones. I am just an all-around. I like the black. Okay, and then learn the mechanical and handling characteristics of the firearm you're using. And basically, I just told you, it's easy. I mean, you just kick that back, and whenever you run out of when you run out of bullets, it will, because it'll keep going back and forth while you're shooting. It's a semi-automatic, and when it's empty, it'll stay pulled back like this, and it looks funny because it looks like it's kind of bent, but it's not, just the way it is. So you know how to do that. Okay, and we've already went over the keep gun pointed in safe direction, primary rule of gun safety, common sense dictates. That all Always keep, I just told you, always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Did I show you how? When you're, keep your hand off the trigger, keep your finger right here until you're ready to shoot. Always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use. Well, I never do that because my gun, as I said, is for self-defense. It's for me when I'm home alone and my husband is out of town working. Whenever I go downtown and I have to walk in a parking structure, my gun's never unloaded. Never use alcohol, over-the-counter drugs, or prescription drugs before or while shooting. And if you have a CCDW, you know that you cannot go in a bar with your firearm. You cannot be out for dinner or whatever and have one drink. They will take that thing right away from you. Store guns so they are not accessible to unauthorized persons. Well, right now the only people that really come into our home is just me and my husband, and every so often my kids. As my granddaughter gets bigger, I will be storing our guns a little bit better. I actually have. Them in there. No. It must be over here. I actually have this, and I have places to lock my thing. And cleaning it. When you clean it, you just take the whole thing apart. And the 6 Sawyers, which is, I love this gun. There is another gun that I want, it's a subcompact also. And so eventually I'm going to get it. Right now it's pretty hot on the market. I think, did Ed get a Glock? He's got Glocks. He's got 2. He's got a 9mm and a 22. And, but they were in stock. But the one that I want, everybody wanted, and it was hard for me to try getting it, so I was waiting. And, but anyway, when you clean your gun, you take it completely apart. I mean, you have to know your gun. You have to know how to take it apart, how to put it back together, and the 6 Sawyers are a little tricky. You have to be precise, and but I love them. So, you know, I just do my gun. So, anyway. Regular cleaning is important in order for your gun to operate correctly and safely. Taking proper care of it will also maintain its value and extend its life. Your gun should be cleaned every time that it is used. A gun brought out of prolonged storage should also be cleaned before shooting. Accumulated moisture and dirt, or solidified grease and oil can prevent the gun from operating properly. Yeah, and make sure that it's completely empty. There's no bullets in it. Okay, now that I went through the gun, there is a big difference between gun control and gun safety. Gun control is allowing the government to make decisions about our Second Amendment rights and who can and cannot have one, how many firearms you can own, and how much ammunition you can buy. Why should someone like me be restricted because there are morons who do not know the difference between gun control and gun safety? Gun safety is teaching a child and an adult how to properly handle any firearm, how to take your firearm apart, clean, and put it together. I just demonstrated to you the proper way to take care of how to do it and all that. I did not take it apart because quite honestly it's kind of late, and these old eyes about ready to go to sleep. But I wanted to show you a quick rundown. This is how you do things. This is how you take care of it. This is how you handle it. How to take your firearm apart, clean, and put it back together. Go to a firing range and being taught how to hold a firearm, how to stand to shoot the firearm. Learn the laws in your state about carrying a firearm. I personally was originally taught to shoot a gun as a young kid. When I went into high school, I took Army JROTC. I learned how to shoot a rifle. Got better each time I shot. I was taught gun safety while I was in ROTC. Every summer, I would go to Fort Knox for summer drill. There I learned even more. Gun safety. How to take apart the M16. Yes, you heard that right, an M16. I was at Fort Knox, people. I was on base. How to take apart the M16, put it together, and then climb in the foxhole and shoot targets. But of course, the foxholes, they were too deep for me, so they had put pallets, wooden pallets, down there so I could see out. Yeah, that was fun. And I got sharpshooter with the M16. I took the gun classes to get my CCDW 2 years ago. I took the written test and the firing range test. If someone is going to go on a shooting spree and more people teachers and principals have a gun on them, I think we might hear less shootings. Allow the teachers and principals to protect the students. It's not that people shouldn't be able to have a gun. We don't need stricter regulations. We need gun safety to be taught. And a lot of people don't understand it. It's just gun control laws are they're not of good. Nothing good comes out of gun control, because gun control, all you're doing is regulating the good people that have guns. It's not regulating the people who are felons, or what have you. They will still find a way to get one. So if you're regulating the guns, you're regulating people like me, my husband, my sister-in-law, my father-in-law, people who have guns because they either go hunting, because they have their conceal, how's that helping me if you want gun control but you're regulating the wrong people? People need to educate themselves, and people are just riding on the bandwagon of the liberals and Democrats about, oh, this happened, we need more gun control. No, we don't. We don't need more gun control. We need gun safety. And we need our FBI to get off their asses and do their jobs. You know, a gun doesn't do anything. It's the person behind the gun that's doing the shooting. People need to take out the gun. The gun's not the problem. The problem is the person that's pulling the trigger. People need to wake up. And they need to look around. There was a person that was using an instrument. And that instrument was a gun. It's not the gun's problem. You people need to look and see. It is the person behind the gun that's shooting. Oh well. You know, it's like sometimes you just cannot get through people's heads because they are so stubborn and they believe so much of what Obama said and this and that. So, yeah, we're not going to believe that because that's not the truth. What the truth is that our own government hasn't been paying attention to the last 5 or 6 mass shootings that could have been stopped. You can take it from there. I don't care. Because I've been around guns my whole life. And you know what? I've never seen any of my dad's firearms, none of his pistols, none of his guns. I've never seen any of them hop out of the cabinet and go shoot anybody. Because they don't do it alone. They have to have somebody behind them shooting. Alright, well, I'm going to end this here because I'm just like, you know, I can't believe there's just so many ignorant people in this world that think it's the gun that's doing the violence when it's not the gun that has the violence. It's the person using the gun, using it as a tool for violence. So, I am going to end this here. And if anybody else would like for me to go further into this or into something else, please leave it in the comments. And I am going to say good night. You have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.